Maybe you don't know this, but you can outgrow a place way too long before you decide to walk away from it. And this is one of the cruelest grief you might ever internalize as a person. Because from the outside, nothing looks broken. The room still knows your name. The chairs still carry your size. The people still greet you the same way. The walls hold your history. Everything looks familiar enough to make your departure almost criminal. But your soul knows what your mouth is afraid to admit. You no longer fit inside the life that once fit inside you. And that kind of pain is hard to admit because no one teaches you how to mourn what's still alive. Nobody teaches you how to grieve a room you still enter, a city you still walk through, a relationship you still answer to, a version of yourself that still gets called to the front even when you intentionally buried it years ago. So you stand there smiling in places that still pronounce your name correctly, while something deeper in you is suffering, suffocating. That's the violence of outgrowing. It's not always loud. Sometimes it feels like a tree becoming too tall for the greenhouse that once protected it. That same glass that kept it safe now cuts off its sky. And you feel guilty for feeling that way because these rooms actually held you when you were smaller. The people knew you when you were softer. These structures gave you language, rhythm, memory, identity, and survival. So part of you keep forcing gratitude to silence evolution. But gratitude cannot replace oxygen. And a room does not become your future just because it was once your shelter. This is why you feel divided sometimes. One half of you is loyal to the history, the other half of you is starving for altitude. One half of you says, "Stay, they know you here." The other half tells you that is the real problem. They do not know the person you are becoming beyond that room. So you begin performing old version of yourself just to keep old places comfortable. You shrink your language, you dilute your hunger, you lower your frequency, you fold your wings every time you walk through a familiar door so nobody has to confront how much you belong to the shape they remember. And that is a quiet form of self-funeral. You become an adult body carrying furniture from emotional house you should have moved from 10 years ago. You become a living contradiction, recognized everywhere, received everywhere. That's why this grief feels so deep. You're not just losing a place, you're losing the innocence of once belonging there. And maybe the reason this hurts so much is because living is not always about distance. Sometimes living is the moment you stop reducing yourself to remain understandable to people and places committed to your former size. Maybe your next flame is accepting that not every room you love is built for your expansion. Maybe the ache you feel is not betrayal. Maybe it's proof that your spirit have started pressing against walls your old self called home. So at this checkpoint, I'll ask you, how much of your life are you still forcing to fit into simply because the room remembers your name, even though your soul has already packed its bag?